live. Are we live? Hey, so we're live. Welcome back. This is today's second video. Wow, that's a bit of a record for me. Usually I'm too tired to do more than one every alternate day, but today I really wanted to start with Russian. Now, just a little bit of a backstory. I am already doing course. In fact, I started the beginner level Russian course last year in, I think, September through the local university. It was actually the first time they were offering, I think, courses or at least online courses, and I have a longer history with Russian. So I started learning in, I think, 2014 or something like 2014, yeah. I don't know. For some reason, I mean, ever since I was a child, I'd actually read, I had these books, translated stories, translated to English, of folk tales and stuff like that. So I always had this kind of, like, yeah, someday it'll be cool to learn this language. But of course, as a child, I mean, I didn't really have any resources and I wasn't that motivated in any way. But then, yeah, when I was, I think, around 20 or so, I just had this interest and I got some Pimsleur tapes. If you don't know what Pimsleur is, it's a great audio only program that really gets you started with speaking the language. So there's no writing, there's not really any reading. I mean, the tapes that I used were quite old. I think they were from the early 2000s or something like that. Nowadays, Pimsleur does have some like reading material and stuff like that, which I mean I'm neutral about because I mean they kind of have to do what the customer wants. I understand that from a I mean business perspective. But yeah, it's supposed to just get you started really talking in a language, get you really comfortable with the sound. So I did that, and it really I mean I would then after doing all three levels. So that's like 90 audio lessons. I would just listen and do the exercises verbally on my way to college. um, and I got really good. I mean, super basic, of course, very, very basic, but I got really good at it. And then it kind of just plateaued. I didn't really do much. I mean, I had the Penguin, Russian book, but I would just do a few pages and then forget about it for months and months. If you don't know, that's just a very common thing with me. So, I mean, I need like some kind of discipline. And a course, a traditional course, offers exactly that. So after a long gap in 2021, I eventually got back into working with Russian. Now I already had some knowledge, so I kind of breezed through a lot of things. I didn't really learn things like cases and stuff like that, but because Pimsleur just teaches you, okay, say this in response to this, and you kind of brain just kind of automatically picks up on patterns. So I kind of learned cases, but I didn't really know that hey, I'm learning cases. And then when I enrolled in this course, I had some really high expectations because I'd already done another course through the university. I had already done German, and it was so well planned. Such a great course, great teachers, great planning. It's just so efficient, orderly. I know it's kind of sounds like, I mean, it's it was just really good. I had a very positive experience, and I thought that all departments were managed that way. What I like is the department is really laid back, so that's a positive thing, and the teacher's really good. But the problem is that well, first of all, we didn't have a course book. Can you imagine a course without a course book? All we had was this book. I'll show you right here. And this document, in case you're wondering, this is a document I made for myself. You can see it's like 34 pages. There's a whole bunch of grammar. So when I'm like doing exercises, I come across things. I make my own case tables. I, explain things to myself in this way. That's much, much better, for me personally, compared to just going to Google and downloading someone else's, image and trying to use that for learning. So I worked so hard to do all this, but now I mean, I've kind of forgotten so much, because the course, I'm telling you, it just wasn't really very well planned. It's so we have this thick book. Okay, this is the one they gave to us. Русский язык в упражнениях. So it's just exercises. That's it, exercises. A thick grammar book. That's all it is. I mean, just look at the exercise. This is not a course book. This is just okay in the beginning. See, if you're a total beginner, I recommend um, learning the alphabet. It's super easy. Don't be intimidated. A lot of letters are pretty much the same as what you have in English. So that's of course a great positive. There's of course a few different sounds which you may not have in English or in your own language. There are of course. I mean, if you speak any other European language, for example, there's a few sounds that you have already in English. Of course, there are some sounds that don't exist, but I mean, it's an Indo-European language at the end of the day, so you'll find some similarities. If not, there's always websites like Forbo, and this is like the easiest thing. Don't let the alphabet intimidate you, okay? Because I think I learned the alphabet in a week. It's really simple. And again, I don't think I'm like gifted or anything. So if I can do it, I think you can do it as well. Now it starts off pretty innocently, okay? At the stole, and you have the cursive as well. It's really important to learn the cursive, but I mean, I'm not gonna push that on you because, like, I mean, chances are you'll never handwrite anything in Russian if you just type emails and stuff, because that's what we do online. But it's great, it's useful, it's not difficult, and if you're going to do a lot of handwriting in Russian, it's definitely preferable to use cursive, because if you're writing block script, you're going to get tired, trust me. So it starts off pretty innocently at the stool, at the shkaf, at the lampa, stuff like that. I mean, pretty easy exercises in the beginning, as you would expect. But just a few pages down, and it's just exercises, exercises, exercises. There really is no clear explanation. For example, complete sentences using the antonyms of the adverbs used in the form. Are you explaining where the adverb is placed? No, you kind of have to guesstimate. Он читает быстро, а я? Он читает быстро, а я читаю медленно. So, студент отвечает громко, а студентка отвечает громко is loud, тихо, or something like that. I need to work on my things. So you see how, I mean, it's like if you wanted to make someone not want to study the language, then you throw this at them, and they look at this and they'll be like, okay, that's it. I'm just gonna forget about the whole endeavor, you know. So yeah, I mean, it was really frustrating. Can you imagine? There's a course that's being taught and there's no course book. All that's done in the lessons, all that was done in the lessons was, they would just read the question and every single student would answer. Is that really teaching? Is that really a lesson? I mean, it's not to me. I was really frustrated, but despite my frustrations, I ended up doing really, really well. I'll show you my scores, and this was in April. Let me just post that over here in this document so you can see. So these are my grades out of 100 for writing. I got 91, and I got the highest marks in the oral exam because I did the PIMSLR program, right? That really made my pronunciation so good, fluent, not really fluent, I would say fluid in a way. Of course, there are some issues with, for example, stress. I sometimes mess up with stress, but well, that's not that big of a deal. Like even in A2 right now, we're doing an A1 course, so to say. But the A2 course that I'm in right now, I mean, I registered in the course, but again, I just I sought an exemption from the attendance requirement because honestly, it's a waste of my time to sit in a lesson and just do like a verbal exercise. I don't learn like that. I know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And if I passed my exams, I think it's thanks to PIMSLR, thanks to great Russian teachers on YouTube. That's really kind of what saved my grades, so to speak. So yeah, now that kind of the whole experience kind of made me lose interest. But then I'm like, why should I quit? I mean, I love the sounds of language and just the whole history, culture, stuff like that. I find it very fascinating, and I'm like, I want to continue, because I mean, I have such a long history. There was a time when my Russian knowledge was much better than my German knowledge. Of course, that's a long time in the past. But yeah, why should I give up? I mean, once I get to it, I really enjoy it. But yeah, it was not a very positive experience, because it just made me hate learning, and it's like, gosh, so it's kind of like the same thing in the A2 course. It's the same book, but like somewhere from God knows which page, they're just again, okay, read this and then answer the question, read and answer, read and answer, read and answer. Imagine like 2.5 hours of just reading, and then just responding, da, ya, bala, нет, я не была, whatever. Just that's it. Like there's no teaching, there's no lesson planning, there's nothing of that sort, and it really, really just makes me lose interest. And that's why even though the course began in, I think, mid-August, I haven't done any studying. And I even, like I said, I just wrote to the professor and said, hey, I can't attend these lessons. I'm just, again, I said I needed time to revise, like the A1 stuff. But really, I just found it, not such a good use of my time. But at the same time, I will be taking the exam. Again, I want to do well, and I want to prove that I can do well. I'm very competitive, so yeah. So yeah, this book, let me just say it very, 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 in a very honestly, look at this. It's so boring. It's so dry. It's so dry. It's like this book is like bread that you leave out in the sun for 10 days. That's what the book is like. For me anyway. I'm sure there's people out there that enjoy this, and trust me, I love doing exercises. I love exercise. I would prefer doing exercises rather than, like I said, if you watch my, German video, I even say, oh, every time I start a course book, live stream, it's kind of like, I kind of like, put off that kind of thing, because, you have to think and you have to write like paragraphs and stuff like that, which once I'm finished with it, I really enjoy it. But, beginning that is kind of difficult. That's why I'm doing these live streams, because it helps me to stay motivated. So I mean, I love exercises, but this is like, oh, this is like really off-putting. And the worst thing is, there really is no clear explanation about things. But forget the fact that, I mean, it's just exercise 1, 2, 3, 400. Oh, gosh. So there's this really great book, Jasno. Jasno means clear in Russian, but it's not from a Russian publisher. It's actually from a German publisher. So basically, anything Langenscheidt or Huber Verlag puts out, they mainly make course books of all kinds of languages. Super good stuff. But of course, I can use this book because I know some German. Well, some is kind of an understatement, but you get my point. So, if you're interested in, because there's like, look at what I have. I have all these materials that I, got the red Kalinka books. I've got this huge thingamajig that's like, I don't know, 300 words. There's a cute little table. There's Darugavra seal. This is actually something they told us they'd be using, but I don't know. Like this is like beginner level, sounds and это его дом, да, это его дом, just intonation, sound, stuff like that. I don't need it because, I already did Pimsleur, but, you can get Darugavara online. I recommend it if you're starting. There is, of course, also the Penguin book, which is a really, really popular, great, high-quality book. It's a self-studying book. The difference between a course book and a self-study book is that a course book is, supposed to be used in a classroom. So course books tend to entirely be in, not entirely, but mostly at least, if not entirely, be in that target language, whereas a self-study book tends to be in a mixture of languages, like, usually English and whatever language you're trying to learn. So when I started learning Russian all these years ago, I started with the Penguin book. Of course, I did Pimsleur first, and now I'm like, okay, I want to learn how to write and stuff like that. So I did the Penguin, but the thing is, I lack discipline. I'll be very honest. I can be lazy. I lack discipline. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline is something I lack. So I have to create structures. I have to put myself on a course, for example. Even though I love learning languages, but discipline zero. So that's why I need to do these. So I really recommend Penguin Russian. I'm not going to do Penguin Russian. I just feel like I want to try out Jasno. Jasno, it looks like a really good, well-arranged book. There will be some things that I might just kind of like skip, because like the alphabet, like I said, the alphabet will barely take you, even if you just spend like a few minutes each day, it'll take you maybe a week. Super easy, super easy. So again, this is not something to feel intimidated by, and if you think that Russian cursive looks, scary or whatever, just ignore all of that content on the internet. When I started out and I saw that famous meme about, what's it called, chinchilli or something like that, and it's just like curly lines. So don't let that, dissuade you. That's like really important, because if you just, worry only about like being able to tell, you know, being able to look at M and N and recognizing that that's not an edge, that's an N, stuff like that. So don't bother yourself with all kinds of random things. So that's the alphabet. You can get Yasno. It's a great book. We're gonna work through all of it. I'm gonna first work on Yasno, then I have the Red Kalinka books I'm gonna work on because that's pure grammar. I hate this book, so I won't be doing it. But yeah, I mean, our exams, they have questions from this book mostly. So, I mean, I'm just going to take, the themes and topics, and I'm going to work on those myself, because this is a poor excuse, honestly. This is not how you teach. Just questions, 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 questions. Look at how nicely arranged. This is a proper course book, right? All these chapters and all very thematically arranged. Now the thing is, the reason why I've labeled this video series A1-A2 is that Russian isn't really kind of judged on the same CEFR scale. And Russian course, I mean, they have, if you've, I don't know if you know, but there's an actual official state, exam. It's called the TLIKI. Test of Russian as a foreign language, or TOEFL, you can look for that as well. But it's offered, of course, in very few places. But they don't have like A1, A2. They have Bazovi, Uroveni, so foundation, basic, certificate, stuff like that. So, it's kind of hard to do an approximation, because in the first year of learning Russian, you learn all 6 cases. If you thought that German cases were a beast, well, I mean, yeah, you're going to struggle with Russian cases. You don't have to, though. It's not actually that difficult. When I started, because English, of course, doesn't really have a case system. I mean, we do, of course, have some remnants of the case system, but I mean, it's like super simple. You only really see the case differences in words like she, her, etc. I mean, we don't even conjugate verbs. So obviously, English is very simple in that sense. But when you learn, any kind of European language, you do have to contend with cases. It's not as bad as Hungarian, which has like, I don't know, 18 cases or something. Not as bad as Polish. Not as bad as Finnish, which has like even more than that. So you see, don't think of it as like, oh my God, that's too much. You don't have to do all of that in one day. Rome wasn't open in a week. So anyway, here's a map. Not like anyone needs to. I mean, what am I going to do? I already know all these things. So cute, fun stuff. There we go. That's the first step. Look at how it's arranged. I'm going to translate everything that's in German for you. So don't worry. I want you to, if you've been trying to learn Russian and you feel like there's so much stuff on the internet, where do I start? Oh, you know what? I'm so tired. I'm just going to, do something else. Because I've had that feeling as well. I would just recommend like pick any random course book and stick to it. But these course books by Hua and Manchai, they're really, really good. So you've got like, for example, when you're just starting out, of course, you have like names, match the names to, for example, Natalia. This is Natalia. So if you're just starting out, you can, vocalize every single consonant and vowel. Yeah, sorry. Right, so that's obviously Victoria. Monica and Monica. You see, a lot of the letters are the same, so it's not really something that's scary. I mean, that's obviously too easy, so I'm not going to do it. But you can just kind of pause the screen. You can do the exercises if you would like. Meanwhile, I'll just draw the lines so you can pause the screen right now, do the exercise, and come back and check the answer. So, Monica is here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Michael is Mikhail. Victoria is right here. Regina is here. Regina becomes Regina. Galina is here. Caleb is here. Oh, well, this is just some fun exercise. Yeah, October. This thing over here, this tiny thing here is an accent. This, oh, sorry, this is where the stress lies. So yeah, Anna. Not, for example, yeah, na, right? That would be wrong. But I would say don't worry too much about stress. What I would recommend is try and listen to content. Try and listen to content, and then your brain just kind of, stores patterns, right? So, I mean, you don't have to sit down and mark every single word and be like, okay, memorize it. No, just listen to content. Mm, okay. Observe how the Russian letters are bound to each other and write the letters and words. This this is just writing. This is like you would have to have the book and write. But if you don't want to do cursive, that's perfectly fine. Practice handwriting. This is just practicing handwriting. So you can there's great sheets for practicing handwriting if you want to. So you can do that. Hearing is easy for you too. Okay, so we'll do that. It's an audio exercise. Let me see if I can find the audio. Okay. Well, you have to hear and cross out the wrong, the words that have stress in it. But listening exercise, if you want to do it, you can. The thing is, in our course, we don't have any listening at all, which is very weird. That doesn't mean I don't do any listening because I listen to a lot of music. I try and watch videos and stuff as well, as and when I can. So that's okay for me. If you are looking for if you're doing the, Turkey, then you definitely need to do listening exercises. So, but you can find great listening exercises, the YouTube channels. And there's a great website. Let me just find the link. It's called. Oh yes, it's called Ruski.info, and it's great. I mean, they have I think the entire basically one code. So I used to use this. Oops, what's this? It's not logging in correctly. I think I copied the wrong link. Okay. I'm not gonna do that whole thing because it's too basic. There we go. And they have everything. They have basically an entire A1-A2 course. It's great. It's what I wish that they would just use this in our course. It's great. And there's let me see. There's okay, so you can't see that yet. Do they have? We have now. It's actually told you how the grammar stuff, the basics, of course. And okay, I'm gonna log in later. I'm gonna show you what it's like, but it's great. I've already done a few lessons. This is again scribe and writing. Which first names, can you build from all of these groups of syllables? Type easy out. For example, this is Ilya. You have there's no do, so okay, you can write for example Anton, Anna, Victor. You can see the dialogue. Okay, so it's a dialogue, a very short dialogue. Yeah, Victor and Victor. Вы or кто ты. So if you meet someone for the first time, you would just say вы. So since she's using they, you can just say okay, кто. So write that down here. I have the keyboard here. I have the so кто ты. They. Where do you have? Yeah. Okay. Oops. I don't know why, but it's not showing up. That is very, very strange. That's so strange. Why is it not showing up? Oh my god. Huh. Why is it disappearing? Maybe I need to use a different color? That is so weird. Well, that's not be a problem. Hmm. Okay. Well, anyway, October. Not doing the listening because we don't have it in our course. So yeah, without doing beakten Buchstaben miteinander. I mean, this is just again, this is writing practice, right? So when you write, for example, Daria, this is the D, same as English. So this is how you join all of these verbs, right? This is something that will happen actually pretty easily. You just need to practice for a few days. But again, you don't have to do cursive if you don't really see yourself writing, handwriting things. Then yeah, I mean, who really handwrites things in English anyway, right? But yeah, you might have to fill in forms and stuff, but of course, I mean, capital letters are still okay. So starts the dialogue and write the dialogue. So it's Здравствуйте. Господин Белов. Okay, and it's gone. I don't know why it's gone. I might have to do something. That's really weird. But I'm just gonna drag these. Господин Белов. And then Здравствуйте. So this person probably said Добрый день. Because they're using the first name, last name, or like first name. Господин is like Mr. That says last name, and of course here we have first name, middle name. And here it'll be, привет, because привет is informal. So привет is, and then привет, Jim. Dialogue, not doing that. Event, how do you, okay, so there's spelling mistakes in all of these. How do you write them correctly? So this would be госпожа. I mean, this is like, I don't have to do this right now because I already know this. This is how they do it. This is going to disappear in a while. I don't understand why I'm really trying to fix it. So weird. До свидания. So, this. Yep, almost do that. Здравствуйте, добрый день, привет. I'm just gonna like speed through this because I don't usually have to do this. Write the names. Again, listening exercise, so we won't do that. Using the actually say first part. Европа, Anna, Austria, Australia, Russia, Sibir, Berlin, Hamburg, Kazan, Nizhny Novgorod, Ekaterinburg. So bring these sentences in meaningful order. You would start with something like Здравствуйте, господин Белов. That's okay. Добрый день, господин Белов. Okay, so this would be the first one, this would be the second one. Down here. Somehow this works. October. Здравствуйте, я господин Белов. Кто это? Это господин Павлов. До свидания, до свидания. I mean, that's like included either way. It's the same thing. There we go. Что на фотографии? Oh, it's again writing practice. I know how to do it. I can show you, but very, very see. Okay, this is like the word here. Tribune is stage, so that would be Geschäft is a shop, magazine, circus, circus. Those would be Почта, Bücherei, it's called Bibliothek. So, oh yeah, oh you have it right here. So Bibliotheca, over here, magazine, here, Почта, circ. Would it be something? Sportsman. Prima ballet. Tennisistka. Which geographical names are in this? Khabarovsk. Geography. Oh, such a good job. Clean. Opa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 10. Okay. I think Ivana would actually do this as well. So mark that. Yalta. Eggs. Anyway, like the kids, I don't have exercises like this. Subject. You know, so you have half the word here, half the word here. You have, for example, to this would be labeled. Gifted. Alex. Why like objective. Okay, I'm very sure. Okay, that's not the name. Just short vowels, long vowels. Which which celebrity, which person in history has influenced the moment? Which is just writing practice again. And we're on chapter 2. It's very interesting. Of course, it happened quickly. So I'm just gonna stop this video for now, and I'll log back in with chapter 2, so it's all in a different playlist. Again, this is important only if you are following the exact layout of the course book. But I figure that, hey, I might as well follow the layout. Because once I'm done with this, I can be sure that I have the foundations all done correctly, and then I can move on to other things. So I'll see you in just a few minutes.